Hey there, this is Tim Woods, Clear Results Fitness, and in this video I'm going to show you 3 ways to loosen up your hip and hip flexor muscles. Depending upon what your issue is, you're going to find this very useful. First, what you want to do is start with a larger surface area of the hip or thigh to begin to manipulate, and I'll show you that right now. This is a high density foam roller. They come in 2 different types, low density and high density. The only difference is when I speak of high density, meaning it's very firm, there's not much give. The low density foam rollers have a lot more give, and usually they're variation of colors. So here's how you perform this move. While having the hip down and the thighs on top of the foam roller, what you want to do is slowly begin to roll up and down the thigh, not going over the hip joint and not crossing over the knee joint. In these small rolling patterns, in about maybe 2 to 4 inches of distance, the only thing you're looking to do is to roll the thigh to be able to feel for spots that might be a little tender. When you find a spot that's tender, target that a little more specifically and make your motions a little shorter in duration. Perform this for about 2 minutes and then transition to the second exercise I'm going to show you. Next exercise, exercise number 2. This was using a tennis ball, and what you want to do is place that underneath the thigh while laying on your belly on your mat to try to begin to target that area that was tender that you discovered with your foam roller. And that's performed like this. So about right here is where I'm feeling a little tender. So I'm going to take the tennis ball and I'm going to roll it underneath my thigh right to where that tender spot is, and I'm going to shift my weight so that way I'm directly on the top. Now while here, I want to wait about 60 seconds, just allowing the tennis ball to gently push up into my thigh to begin to soften the area where I'm finding a little bit of tenderness, discomfort, maybe some restriction. Then what you want to do after 60 seconds is begin to bend the knee nice and slow, bringing the heel in as close to your glute as you can, and then lowering it right back down. Bringing it in, and then right back down. So it's a slow motion, and you want to perform this for about 60 seconds. And then at the end, just relax, and then you want to go into a stretch, which I'm going to show you now. And now for the last one. The stretch is going to be used to open up the musculature around the hip as well as loosen up the thigh and any other connective tissue that might be causing restriction or causing a little bit of discomfort in the hip or in the thigh itself. Here's how you do that. First, you want to start on both knees, coming to a single knee stance. One leg is back behind you. You want to try to get nice and straight between the shoulder and the knee if possible. It could be a little tight and restricted. 2 hands are down and simply leaning to drive the hip downward at an angle towards the floor. Just holding the position. You don't have to move. Try to relax and breathe into this position. If you need more comfort underneath the knee, you can place a pad under the back knee. And just hold this position for about 2 minutes. Or unless, of course, your shoulders, wrists get tired, then you can come out of the position. A way to modify this, if you don't have the hip flexibility or if the hands down is too much pressure or tension on the hip, let me show you a modification. Okay, so I cheated a little bit and I disappeared off camera and came back. But what I wanted to show you is a modification that you can implement if in fact your thigh muscles are too tight or your hip flexor group is too tight. So this position with your hands may be too much. You can utilize yoga blocks, which you can pick up on Amazon, or what you can do is you can utilize books. Simply place them directly underneath your shoulders and hands, stack them up a bit, and as you can see, my posture elevates a bit, and it takes the pressure off of the hip just a little. So you may have to implement this as a means of initially getting to this position, but as you become more flexible, beware, because you're going to come down to the floor and you're going to be loosening up quite nicely. So let's just quickly review what we did. So number 1, we started out with some soft tissue release utilizing a high density foam roller. Of course, you can use a low density one if you wish. Second, we started out by becoming a little more targeted With a tennis ball, you can use a tennis ball or you can utilize a lacrosse ball. It's your choice, just depends upon how much discomfort you want to experience. A lacrosse ball will be significantly more challenging. And last is going to be the single leg kneeling position where you go into a hip flexor stretch and utilizing some yoga blocks if the intensity of the stretch is too much, or just maybe stacking a couple of books up underneath the hands to begin to improve your posture. Again, this is Tim Woods with Clear Results Fitness on Fitness Friday, helping men and women over 50 in the second phase of life improve the way they look, feel, and move. Have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you next week.